into the final game of this series. The first time we're seeing a best of 5. This is Vendetta up against the Simpsons. Definitely excited to see how this goes, Weezy.
Yes, just look at this game. Best of 5, both teams battling it out in the land of the dawn. You do see Exborg on the jungle. You see Ballman for the side of the Simpsons, one of the most dominant junglers this season has to offer. The mobility, the sustainability, the lethal counter with the retribution. Will it be enough to beat the defense of Vendetta? You do see a heavy clash on the bottom side, only 40 seconds in.
Yeah, they're going to have to watch out for Shiki here, right? They're going to have to be careful. The wings by wings. I got a feeling we're going to see a lot of rotations coming from Shiki here, trying to make those plays. And especially when we hit level 4, he's going to hit up that tri-bush, drop down the feathered airstrike, and try to get picks onto Cold World, slow him down as much as possible. Yes, the Yves has some nice rotations, has that speed up, but I would almost give this laning phase over to the side of the Pharsa.
Yeah, Pharsa also having that mobility to get around the map, but I love how both teams have the AoE damage from their mages. These fights are going to be possibly the most intense we have seen in this best of 5 from both sides. You see Exborg, not your traditional jungler, picked up by Pogi as well. Do we see some possible plays that might change the meta for North America? You see Promise locking in the Paquito, not allowing that to be picked up from Vendetta, but the question is he enough to go against a possible counter, the Esmeralda? We've seen such a solid game from both sides, but looking at the map, you see a possible gank from the side of Vendetta, trying to get an early kill, an early advantage. Esmeralda cutting the lane, doing what Esme is supposed to do. Paquito playing it safe, knowing that Esme can give him that hard time, but going for the farm he can take. You do see Turtle spawned in, Pogi, not much contest. A possible clash as both teams are preparing for the first turtle.
And Nate does bring down that, wait a second, nice take from Pogi there. I was a little worried about the world manipulation, but he was able to take it, the last insanity, able to help him zone away Promise there, use that retribution and get it. Fallen now, moving on to different things, working on his red buff. Vendetta taking a little bit of an advantage in the early game.
Now, we've seen just a turnaround. Usually the Simpsons has the aggressive stance and Vendetta on the defense, but going into match 4, it was a different story. So you never know what these teams are going to bring to the table, but we see a lot of possible gank potential from Vendetta, trying to get these early kills, hiding in these bush for pickoffs, waiting for a mistake from the Simpsons.
So let's talk about this Exborg pick for a second. Let's actually break it down to some of the viewers. So the thing about it, the reason why it could work here is if you can position yourself well in some of these team fights, you just kite. You just use that first skill, and Fallen's going to try to get in on you, but he's never going to make it because you're just going to keep backing up and hitting him with that burn. Not only that, but you get the true damage to deal with the tankiness of the side of the Simpsons here. And Bogey is one of the few players I feel like who runs it very well. A lot of other players don't even like trying it because not an easy thing to do. Something else I'm excited to see is if he decides to go for the Hunter Strike, which is something he likes to do as an item, because it helps the kite even more. Now, in the boss side, Theo trying to do something, but it helps the kite even more because you get the speed boost from those skills. You get the passive speed boost, so you pop that first skill, and you're able to just back and forth, and stay away from the enemies while dealing chip damage.
And the question is, will the ultimate, the last insanity, be too much for them to handle in these heavy clashes? I love seeing the creativity from Vendetta. Pogi being creative, picking up a Hellcurt previously, picking up the Exborg jungle, trying to change the thing that North America knows as meta. We have Exborg with the true damage, very hard to deal with. But the question is the Simpsons prepared? There's a lot on the line for both these teams as they are fighting it out. Turtle has spawned in. You do see a clash.
Yeah, but the airstrike does come down. Damien tries to use Numen on Blast, does land on a Shiki, but Damien goes down. Theo could be next. A nice pickup for Cold World there. Pogi takes that turtle, though. It's a 1 for 2, and Vendetta is on the prowl looking for more. Back on the mid side, though, Galaxy is down to about half health. Overall, a big win for the side of Vendetta there. Now taking a little bit of a gold lead and a couple more deaths on the board.
Now, I do have to give it to Promise over there on the Paquito, especially against the Esmeralda, a possible counter for him, not allowing her to get the easy cuts, maintaining her in that lane. But looking at the items, you do see the Demon Hunter Sword picked up by the Claude, enough for him to do some damage in these fights in the early game, but more toward the late game will be a crazy force to deal with for the side of the Simpsons. The Feathered Airstrike going down.
Cold World's in a little bit of trouble here. The Wild Charge just to help seal the deal and finish it off with that Blazing Duet. Fallen trying to get something as well, able to pick up Theo, so it's a 1-for-1 currently. Shiki now on the run. Fallen tries to get more, but just can't. So Simpsons at least answer back. They take a tank, but they lose their gold lane, which is kind of huge at this start of the game.
Now, we are seeing a little bit more of a rotation from Shiki over on Farza against Nate on the Eve, just having the ability to rotate around the map. A lot of assists stacking up on his side for these fights. Ballman rotating, Fallen on that jungle. But Pogi on the Xborg securing 2 of the turtles. The gold difference is not that much. These teams are very close, but a clash in the mid lane as Damien tries to escape.
That is rough. Shiki picks that up with that Feathered Airstrike. Pogi continues to lay down the chip damage as Shiki drops the bombs from the backside. Just your typical front to back, front to high ground composition, and they are playing it to a T.
I love this playstyle. You see Theo over on the bottom side trying to possibly cut the lane. Nate trying to defend. You see a little bit of protection on the carry. They know they have a late game marksman. She has to get that farm. Do not let her lose to that Claude. Both teams have that late game marksman, which will be very hard to deal with. So we have to see some pressure to delay them from being able to get that farm.
And Fallen wants to try to delay them by maybe getting this turtle, maybe getting the steal. He does have the lethal counter, but the rest of the team is there to help out Theo. Looking for something. Galaxy misses the Fallen Star Moon, but creates space, and this gets Pogi the turtle once again. Simpsons not able to get anything and are slowly getting oppressed, slowly getting starved here, and another kill goes into the hands of Vendetta, this time into the pocket of Yuna as he takes out Cold World.
And this is what we were talking about, having the advantage in the gold lane, especially when you have 2 late game marksmen paired up against each other. Yuna going for that tower, going for that clear, going to increase the gold for his team. A very good start for Vendetta, for their marksman. We are going to see the Claude come online a little bit earlier than the carry going into game 5.
And every time the side of the Simpsons want to get something, they're just denied it, and Shiki back with the Feathered Airstrike. Bogi continuing to chip away at them. Now, Shiki has been the star here, I feel like. And we called it, constantly rotating down to that bottom side and just giving such a hassle to Cold World. We were worried about the EXP lane with Promise, but the real thing we should have been worried about from the very beginning was the rotations from this Farza, and now Cold World just can't come up. He's constantly being hassled, and not only that, Yuna is rotating. He's in the EXP lane now to get even more gold by taking that tower up there.
Now, a tower has fallen on the bottom side in the favor of Vendetta. They are going for more of the aggressor in this game, and they also have the Xborg as their jungler. We have to give it to Shiki. Like you said, good zone. You see Theo going for a possible cut to take another tower without really much contest. Will they allow them to push in these minions and go for this objective?
Ooh, Flicker with the Wild Charge. Feathered Airstrike comes down. Shiki picks up a kill. Damien now also in a bad spot. Yuna does not have that Blazing Duet, but he doesn't care. He's going to come in and get the kill and work away in the tower. Make that another one in the mid side. Nate goes down. Kills all around the map for the side of Vendetta.
Now, I love what Vendetta did right there. They made sure to choke those minions in that lane. They proxied that lane and were able to secure it. And you've seen the Simpsons not able to get a good defensive stance to stop them. And then another objective possibly going in their favor with no contest. They have taken all the turtles. They have taken Lord. They have taken the towers in the bottom and top lane. And then a clash on the mid side.
Yeah, Galaxy in a bad spot. I mean, Galaxy not in a bad spot. Able to take out Fallen there. Bogi actually gets the kill. Now, normally, the problem with the Xborg is like you can die early on and you're a little bit weak in the laning phase, but at this point when you're ahead, I mean, we're looking at a big gold lead, almost 7,000, right? This is trouble. This spells a very, very bad for the side of the Simpsons because they were supposed to be the aggressive ones. They were supposed to be the ones that got an advantage in the early start with that Ballman, but now that they're playing on the back foot in a time when they're supposed to be dominating, it looks very grim for the side of the Simpsons.
And just the damage output potential right now for Vendetta is looking very good. They have a lot of AoE damage and true damage with the X-Borg. You have Claude with the Blazing Duet for AoE damage as well. You have Farza with the Feathered Airstrike, especially when you have the advantage early in the game against the enemy team who doesn't have the proper defense set up, and you are stacking these items. Looking at the items from both sides, going into the 10-minute mark, you're looking at, Borg picking up that Ice Queen wand to have the slow on the enemy as he does chase them down, or also as they chase him. You see Claude being built up. He has the Wind of Nature now in case the carry or any physical damage comes his way, but also has the, oh my gosh, a clash on the top.
Guard coming in. Galaxy follows up with the Falling Star Moon. Nate, though, brings out the World Manipulation. Boggy, though, on the backside, Last Insanity cleans things up. Damien and Nate off the field, Fallen maybe next, trying with a valiant effort, but will go down. The double kill goes to Bogey, and the tower may go down next. They're going to move on to this base. Where's Promise? Trying to recall, trying to get in there, but they're going to focus in. Now, Promise is here, gets a nice damage onto Poggy, onto Shiki, but just can't connect. Wants to try to finish this, forced to flicker back, and can't get a kill. Vendetta has just tipped the scales extremely into their favor.
What a play over by Cold World, though, activating that Wind of Nature just in time as that Blazing Duet went down from Yuna, keeping him alive to defend. We see a request for a pause, possibly a technical difficulty, but just the pressure of both sides right now. 12-2, looking very, very solid. This game has been more of a one-sided match, and the AoE damage right now is about to be insane as they are fighting for the final game of this series for both teams.
That's definitely looking rough. The Simpsons, if it continues like this, they may just get dropped down to that lower bracket. Vendetta, though, from game 1 to game 5, we just seen this evolution from them. We've seen them pick up some unique picks and make them work. We've seen them grow, I mean, honestly, as a team throughout this whole series. So I'm wondering, is there anything the Simpsons, in your opinion, Weezy, they can do to stretch this out? Looking at their composition, it does seem a little bit hard.
Now, I gotta say, if I was the Simpsons in this predicament, you have to play safe. They have too much AoE damage as a team for Vendetta, especially with the advantage of items, the difference in gold right now. You cannot win in these fights. You have to play safe. Maybe allow them to try and be aggressive. Let them continue to play that aggressive play style and do kind of what Vendetta's done in the previous matches. Play the defensive side, let them push in. Maybe they clear some minions and allow you to take some gold, and that's really what you have to do at this moment. You cannot be an aggressor, especially with all that is on the line for this match.
Most definitely. Almost, I mean, sometimes what I like to say is, let them, since they're being the aggressor, since Vendetta wants to try to finish this, maybe try to bait them into something here. Maybe try to let them come in. No matter what, you have to let them come to you and try to set them up in that World Manipulation. Maybe pair it off with a nice Numenon Blast. They do have set potential on the side of the Simpsons. Just with such a huge gold deficit, it sometimes doesn't matter. We see this happen to a lot of teams. Even if you get the big play, even if you get the big set, you're just immediately bursted down without the ability to burst down your enemies.
Now, I do love how they are pushing up the lane, trying to keep those minions on the mid of the map for the side of the Simpsons. The fight is not over. We've seen the similar situation, but actually on the other side, the Simpsons being the aggressor, but now Vendetta has had a solid game plan for Game 5.
And, I mean, Galaxy just, you can see that right there just shows the gold difference, right? Galaxy just able to sit in the middle of 3 members. Not only 3 members, but a huge counter to you that should be melting you. Cold World just not there yet, though. Can't quite make the play. Lord goes over to the side of Vendetta once again, and now we see a possible collapse. This could be bad for Promise. He is caught in between several members, tries to dash through. The Feathered Airstrike comes down. He's stunned up, and Bogey picks up the kill. That's putting Bogey at 6-0-2. To anyone that was worried about the X-Borg, you don't need to.
Now, looking at the Simpsons, their game plan was to possibly take out the Esmeralda. Not sure if that was really the smartest move, allowing them to take that Lord with no contest and not having an answer for it. But like we said, the gold deficit is just so much leaning toward the favor of Vendetta. We are only 13 minutes in, 13-2, dominating fashion and playstyle from Vendetta. They are trying to close this out with an early finish.
trying to close something out, and they may be able to do it the way these games have been going. Vendetta now breaking in onto this middle inhibitor. They're letting Lord connect, and it has found it, putting some damage. But the last Insanity comes in. Road Manipulation comes on top of it, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Yuna with the Blazing Duet trying to clean things up, and the Simpsons are just too low. The base is gone, and Vendetta takes Game 5, bringing the Simpsons down to the...